Did you say asshole?
Borderlands, a franchise I truly love. And yet my first Borderlands experiences weren't very positive. I skipped the first installment and through a work-related partner I once received a physical copy of the Handsome Jack collection, which consisted of Borderlands 2, Borderlands the pre-sequel and all its DLC. I started playing it and perhaps it wasn't the smartest thing to do, but I started with the pre-sequel, because that was the correct order timeline-wise. But it didn't grab me. I didn't get the structure, didn't like the gameplay and the characters didn't do much for me. So I put it down again, but then COVID hit, and when, after many hours of gaming, I finally reached my backlog, I gave Borderlands another try. And little by little, step by step, it started to catch on, and as a result I've been a Borderlands fan ever since and have played everything there is to play. And not everything was a 10 out of 10, especially the Tiny Tina's Wonderlands DLC was absolute shit. And the bad guys from Borderlands 3 were cringe as fuck, but all in all, I think Borderlands is fantastic. Although there was a slight downturn, with the quality steadily declining since part 2. And now part 4 is out and I've started playing it. And the question is Borderlands 4 back on track? Let me tell you right here.
It's a simple question!
And don't get me wrong when I say that Borderlands 4 should hopefully be back on track, because I thought the previous Borderlands games were anything but bad, but it never quite reached the level of part 2, and that was coincidentally due to precisely the 3 aspects I always cover in my reviews. So let's start with the story. In this part you play as one of the 4 new vault hunters, again searching for a vault. However, the game isn't set on Pandora like the previous games, but on a new planet, Kairos. Here reigns the villain known as the Timekeeper, who built his empire on a vault and wants to keep it closed at all costs. So he must be defeated, but first his 3 underbosses must be defeated. A fairly basic setup, but effective and also very clear, allowing you to fully immerse yourself in the quests and side quests, which strike a perfect balance between serious, funny and bizarre. Where previous games, with their cringe characters and childish humor, tried to be funny but often failed, this one does it much better. And so I blasted through all the quests with great pleasure, often with a smile on my face. Humor is hit and miss and it varies from person to person, but I laughed more often than I was annoyed.
One left arm and one left leg. Guess the victim's all right now. Sorry.
Are you all right? Yes. No, you are all left.
The previous installments also struggled in terms of gameplay, especially with the loot. It seemed perfectly balanced in the second game, but after that there was always something. The lack of rarity of legendaries was a particular problem. They spawned in bunches, and by level 20 you could be fully equipped with legendary gear if you put in the effort. This game has really addressed that. You'll definitely encounter them, but far less frequently, and I personally think the balance is tilted a bit too far the other way this time. This is also partly because of the loot itself isn't great in my opinion. I didn't encounter enough truly awesome weapons that play well. For example, I encountered a ton of weapons that had to be fully or partly charged before they did any real damage, which was not chill to play with at all.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
And if the loot isn't great in a looter shooter, that is a problem. There were some cool weapons, but I often found myself playing with weapons from 10 levels or more ago. Every new weapon I found did increase in DPS, but it didn't play well, so I stuck with the old familiar. Speaking of DPS, a huge addition to this part is a DPS counter. It makes comparing guns a bit easier, and the fact that you can pick up things as junk, sell your junk all at once and mark everything makes everything a bit more efficient, but unfortunately it's still not always clear. The UI is still quite confusing at some times. Another new feature is that the entire world is now truly open, which is actually quite cool. It's always clear where you need to go, and if you get stuck, you can spawn a navigation line with the press of a button. The open world works well and, in my opinion, even works better than the separate maps we were used to. Furthermore, little has really changed. The shooting action in this game is great as always. The various vault hunters can be upgraded and leveled up with their own skills as you see fit, and you blast your way through the missions and side missions, aiming for even cooler loot. And while the loot isn't always special, it's all the more rewarding when it is, and you know that you'll have a gun to keep you going for a while. Besides the storyline, the game is also fully playable in co-op, The world is full of events and the endgame is also very chunky, allowing you to spend much more time with the game than just the story itself, which, by the way, took me at least 40 hours already to complete, albeit with completing the necessary side quests. The presentation wasn't always great in previous games after part 2. This was mainly due to the performance, and as you probably know, it was anything but flawless at launch. I didn't really have many problems at launch, to be honest, aside from the occasional minor stutter when entering a new area, but nothing serious. However, patches were released that were supposed to fix everything, but for me they made it worse. Thankfully, everything is fixed now, but the launch was definitely rough. Also, because Randy Pitchford himself was a PR nightmare, Gearbox must have been tearing their hair out.
Shut up!
Still, there are issues that come with open world games, such as clipping, or that certain bounties don't spawn on the location where they should, leaving no other option than to abandon these bounty quests sometimes. But otherwise it's a really great game. The familiar cel shaded style is more beautiful than ever, the music is fantastic and the casting of the characters, both new and old, is incredibly well done. The game does cling on quite a bit to these old well-known popular characters, but actually that's a good thing.
Zane! What did I tell you about shooting our customers?
Why don't you remind us?
Ladies first.
Also, the gore is definitely there, and even in the cel shaded style it's kinda brutal to literally blow someone's brains out. The voice acting is also top notch. Borderlands 4 is truly, as a package, a brilliant game when it comes to presentation, besides of course the performance issues in the beginning.
I take that personally.
Borderlands 4 tweaks a lot of things to get back on par with Borderlands 2 and it succeeds on many fronts. This is definitely the best Borderlands since Borderlands 2, but it certainly doesn't surpass it by a long shot. What I'm especially hoping for is the upcoming DLC, because despite the disappointing DLC from Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which mainly lacked the story DLC, I still pre-ordered the Ultimate Super Deluxe Edition with all the DLC, so hopefully it won't disappoint.
Reporting for duty, boss.
Anyway, I give Borderlands 4 a 9.2, because I think this is a fantastic Borderlands game. And that concludes this review. What did you think of Borderlands 4? Let me know in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And for live gameplay, you can visit my Twitch, twitch.tv/gameplayofj, and don't forget to follow me there too. For more content, check out the suggestions on the left or the channel on the right. And for now, thanks for watching, see you in the next video, bye!